anything else? I was gonna like. I
Oh,
nodded
I
to
thought
you
you were
like.
asking them. Don't ask me. Don't look at me. Look at them. Look at them. Ask them.
But if there's anything you want us to talk about. Hi, this is Afro Mythos. We're your host, Adra and Solomon.
Solomon Najwa, whichever way you want to say it.
Yeah, whichever way you want to say it. Also known as Adechi.
You're listening to the podcast where we talk about everything African mythology, religion,
folklore. You said mythology twice because it's that important.
Yeah, you knew where I was going with that.
And if you listen to the last episode, we said this episode we're just going to talk about African mythology in general. Kind of a overview for you. Yes. You don't know what it is, or you're just more interested in it, right?
Some people call it a crash course.
That's the word.
Just sort of like just go back through everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Actually, the reason why we're really doing this is because so many people have asked. They didn't realize the scope that African mythology goes.
Yeah.
Like everything
that encompasses it. Yeah.
In African mythology.
Yeah.
So we thought we'll give you a little starter for everything. In different regions.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just going to come on this journey with us.
So the term African mythology is used as a collective term to describe a diverse range of mythological stories, beliefs and traditions that originate from the African continent, obviously. So this term, however, should be approached with an understanding of its limitations and broadness.
Yeah.
So the term helps to categorize a vast array of mythologies based on their geographic origin, which is the continent of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So despite the diversity, there's often thematic, symbolic, and structural similarities among various African mythologies. So these similarities can be attributed to shared historical, cultural, and social experiences across the continent, naturally, as you get with many different continents.
Yeah.
So while the term is broad, of course, African mythology, it also encapsulates the diversity within African narratives. So it serves as a starting point for exploring the rich variety within African mythological traditions, encouraging further investigation into specific cultures and stories.
However, it's imperative even, to acknowledge that the term African mythology is a simplification. The continent's cultural diversity means that each region, country, and even ethnic group has its own unique set of myths, legends, and folklores. Definitely, while the term is useful for like a general categorization, deeper exploration requires an understanding of the specific cultural and regional contexts for each mythology. So African mythology, spanning across regions from the sands of Egypt to the forests of Yorubaland, from the peaks of Kilimanjaro to the shores of the Cape, is a vibrant collection of cultural heritage. These mythologies, often passed down orally through generations, serve as a window into the values, beliefs, and historical experiences of various African communities. They encompass a wide range of themes, from the creation of the world and the origins of humanity, to the adventure of gods, goddesses, and legendary heroes.
Exactly. And at the heart of many African myths is the intricate relationship between the natural and the supernatural worlds. So the myths often reflect a deep respect for nature and its elements, with many stories featuring personifications of natural forces, animals, and ancestral spirits. This interconnectedness highlights... What are you doing, please?
I'm interconnected, innit?
If you watch on YouTube, you will just see what Solomon did. He's a weirdo. Yes. So that highlights a worldview where the spiritual realm is a tangible part of daily life and not separate from it. Furthermore, African mythology is a living tradition, so it often adapts and evolves, reflecting contemporary challenges and perspectives while staying rooted in historical and cultural contexts.
Whilst we're on this subject,
yes,
actually, when we refer to mythology, we mean it as a term of stories that shape cultural and spiritual understandings. I can hear someone out there shouting to the screen right now, it's religion, it's not mythology. And, we understand.
Yeah.
But respectfully, the term mythology and religion are not mutually exclusive and often overlap. Mythology can be a fundamental component of religion. Mythology refers to a collection of myths which are stories that a culture believes to be true or that carry significant meaning. These myths can often explain natural phenomena, the origins of the world, and the customs and beliefs of a society.
Mm-hmm.
Myths here is used academic sense, not speaking on the truth or false of whatever we're talking about.
Yeah, because the word myth sometimes does just directly mean false, right?
Yeah. Okay. But not in this sense.
Not in this sense.
We're talking about. So whatever you thought of before in this bubble, when you hear it come out of these mouths, it's not talking about truth or false. It's just talking about the cultural stories that are the foundations of these religions or cultures. Religion, on the other hand, is a broader concept that sort of encompasses not just the myths, but the rituals, the moral systems, sacred practices, and institutional structures. It's sort of like the framework through which people understand their world, interact with the divine, and connect with each other. Now, many of the world's religions, including some of those widely practiced today, have their own mythologies. These mythological stories are often integral to the religious identity of the practice, even though they might not be interpreted. Is that how you say it?
No.
Interpreted.
Yes. Interpreted.
Oh, right. I'm dyslexic. Interpreted literally by all the people that follow it. Mm-hmm. So, in a nutshell, just because something is called mythology doesn't mean it's not a religion. And mythology is about the stories and the beliefs of a culture has. Whilst religion includes the stories plus, the practices of their morals. Mm-hmm. They often go hand in hand, you see. Yeah, so I just thought to give a fuller explanation of this because we do get asked this a lot.
Yeah, we do.
It's important that we're able to navigate these topics without having to deal with the religious connotations of things, because that's where things get a bit more
personal, should we say. Yes. Yeah, so while we respect all the amazing religions that are out there, we're talking about the stories and the folklore and the mythology.
Exactly that.
Thank you.
And with that, we can dive into the substance of today's episode, where we're going to give an overview of some of the pantheons, the mythologies, in the different regions of the African continent. So some of you might know some of them, and there'll be some that you'd want to learn more about as well.
And there'll be some that we probably don't mention because otherwise we'd be here for maybe 5 hours.
Yeah, honestly, we're already going to be here for a long time.
So strap in. So first we're heading to North Africa. Oh wait, I just realised this is not purely visual, so I was just lifting up my hands like, hey.
I was going to say we could put transitional sound instead. So
there we go, for the audio listeners.
So the sands of where?
We're going to North Africa. So this is a region that is as diverse in its cultures as it is in its landscapes. So stretching from the sweeping sands of the Sahara to the markets of Morocco, we're in North Africa. So the mythologies of Northern Africa are deeply influenced by the region's long and complex history. Here we find a confluence of indigenous Berber traditions, influences from the Middle East due to the spread of Islam, and imprints from Mediterranean civilizations like the Romans and the Greeks, and the pharaonic legacies from ancient Egypt. So yes, Egypt is in Africa, for those who might not know. Yeah. So while we're on this subject, let's just talk about it. This confusion sometimes arises because historically there's been a tendency, especially in Western discourse, to separate Egyptian culture and religion from the rest of African culture and religion.
I'll take it even one step further. Yeah. Like in some of these books that we sort of have on folklore, some of it would have like Africa, and then they'll have ancient Egypt as a separate sort of chapter.
Yeah.
Let's see this.
Oh my God, I was about to say, we're not going to out the book, but he just grabbed it from the bookshelf.
Yeah, we are.
If you want to know what the book is, you're going to have to watch it on YouTube.
So here, as you can see, it says ancient Egypt and Africa.
Yeah.
And Africa, like an annex.
Yeah, like it's just the rest of the 54 plus countries in Africa are just an addition.
Yeah.
Which is obviously not the case. So yeah, this separation, like in the book, causes a misleading division of the African continent, as if Egypt, or Kemet, its ancient name, and other African regions like Nubia are completely distinct or unrelated to the continent, and that's not the case. In simple terms, ancient Egyptian religion was very much a part of African religion. You can't separate Egypt from Africa any more than you can separate Christian practices in Rome from those in Britain. Just like these two European nations practice Christianity differently, Protestant, Catholic, all that, Egypt practiced its religion with its own unique characteristics, but still within the broader context of African spirituality. So, it is still African. The key point is, when you look at the religious and mythological beliefs of ancient Egypt and compare them with other African traditions like those of the Yoruba, Kikuyu, or even Zulu, you will find a lot of similarities and shared philosophical foundations. So understanding these foundations is like unlocking a door to like a rich, interconnected world of African mythology and spirituality, where Egypt is an integral part of the African continent's cultural and religious heritage.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so now that we've got that covered, let's move on to the Amazigh. Is it Amazigh? Amazigh.
That's what I think anyway.
Amazigh people, or Berbers, which we try not to use anymore because it sounds very derogatory to like barbarian.
Yeah, it is.
So the indigenous people of North Africa's various landscapes, so from the Sahara to the Atlas Mountains, so the region has a mythology that reflects their deep nature connection. So influenced by the Phoenician, Romans, and the Arab cultures, Amazigh myths have blended with those of the newcomers, noticeably seen with the syncretism of the Amazigh goddess Chakaraxi with the Phoenician Tanit, highlighting cultural exchanges through trade and sometimes conquest. So we did a painting of Shasi. And when we were doing some of like the research into her, it sounds like she could have, been syncretized or sort of merged with another god, a Phoenician god called Tanit, and they sort of shared the same attributes. I think of like fertility and other stuff as well. So it just sort of merged, and it happens a lot. That's through either conquest or trade, religions sort of merge. In Sudan, which is by Northeast Africa, it's a melting pot of cultures including Nubian, Beja, Nuba, and Fur. We encounter a rich mythological tapestry. Key Nubian deities like so these names are gonna be hard to pronounce, but so key Nubian deities like Apedemak, the lion-headed warrior god, Amun, a god of creation, Dedwen, associated with prosperity, and Sebiomeka, a fertility deity, illustrates the region's diverse spiritual landscape. And additionally, Sudan's mythology embraces a mix of ancestral and nature spirits amongst its various ethnic groups, all within the broader context of like Islamic influence that swept North Africa from the 17th century. Integrating indigenous beliefs with Islamic elements such as jinns and the angels into their folklore. This blend sort of showcases the dynamic interplay of ancient traditions and Islam, shaping a unique spiritual identity across Africa. So if you would see, like, most of North Africa would have a lot of Islamic influence. Because I think around the 7th century, Islam sort of swept across.
I think that's the main religion there.
And in the 8th century, Islam had sort of their
golden
era.
Okay.
So at the end of the 8th century, they had their golden sort of age. So it just meant that the culture just like boomed everywhere as well.
It makes sense.
It
does make sense.
So that's enough of the north. Let's go to the east.
Yes.
So Ash, who can we find in the east?
Okay. So, who can we find in the east? We can find countries like Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, Zimbabwe. The list goes on and on and on and on. But while the pantheons of East Africa are perhaps less globally recognized than most, they are incredibly interesting. So, spanning from the Horn of Africa, if you look at the map, you'll know what I mean, encompassing countries of, Eritrea, Somalia, Madagascar, Seychelles, just some more there for you. Right down to the Great Lakes region, these mythologies encompass a variety of ethnic groups. So these include the Amara and Oromo of Ethiopia, the Somali, the Maasai, the Luo, the Kikuyu, among others. I hope I'm saying that right. Kikuyu. Okay, so let's begin with Somalia. So Somali mythology includes a pantheon of gods and spirits with a strong emphasis on ancestor worship, as a lot of African pantheons do, and the veneration of saints, especially among Somali Sufis. So there's this really cool concept called Heer or Her, Heer.
Yeah. Okay. Her.
Heer. I think.
Here.
Yeah.
Like deer.
Yeah. So this is a form of traditional Somali love poetry.
Ooh.
I know, it sounds beautiful, right? It often explores themes of love, loss, and connection to the spiritual world, while showcasing the intertwined nature of cultural and spiritual expression. So maybe we'll do like something on that. I think that sounds really cool.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Valentine is coming. Speak to me in Somalian.
In here. Here. Yeah.
So the Maasai of Kenya and Tanzania have a monotheistic belief in God called Ngai, who has a dual aspect. So Ngai Naruk, which means black God, is benevolent and providing. And Ngai Nyoki, red God, is vengeful and punishing. Their mythology is rich with stories that explain natural phenomena, social practices, and moral lessons, often centered around the importance of cattle, which play a central role in Maasai life. Similarly, in Kenya, Kikuyu mythology, Ngai, spelt without the E in the beginning, is the supreme creator, and Mumbi is the mother of all Kikuyu people. Now, the Luo, L-U-O.
Luo?
The Luo people,
I don't know,
residing around Lake Victoria in Kenya and Tanzania, have a cosmology that includes a creator god and a belief in spirits and ancestral ghosts. Their stories often serve to explain the origins of their people, the nature of their world, and the reasons behind social customs. So you have Nyasei, the Luo creator god, overseeing the universe's balance, justice, and morality. And Luo cosmology is infused with the reverence of Nyasei, who interacts with humanities through spirits or jerks and ancestors, which are called Jashian. And then, so talking about their spirits and ancestral ghosts, so the Luo believe in a realm inhabited by spirits and ghosts of ancestors who influence the living world. These entities are integral to their understanding and the Luo connection with the spiritual world, guiding social customs and like their ethical conducts. So there's so much more in that region as well. So these are just like the tip of the icebergs.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going over to Never Eat South.
Yeah.
South.
I did do it in that order: north, east, south, west, central. Right, so in South Africa, and this is a region in the continent that has a lot of diverse ethnic groups and a strong history that, you know, we all know of. And it spans like a variety of countries, including South Africa itself, the country, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Swaziland, just to name a few. Yeah. Of course, I can't sit here and name everything, guys. So each of these nations harbors its own unique blend of cultures and traditions, contributing to a complex panorama of mythological narratives that reflect the interplay between humans, nature, and the supernatural. So there's the San people, also known as Bushmen. Again, like with the Amazigh Berber thing, I think the Bushman is the derogatory term, so we're going to stick with San. So they are the oldest inhabitants of Southern Africa, and their mythology is deeply entwined in the natural world. So these stories often feature animal characters and speak to the interconnectedness of all living things. I feel like it's similar to the Akan pantheon, because a lot of the Akan stories feature animal characters as well. So another, you know, link. So the San have profound spiritual relationship with the land and its creatures, which is reflected in their rock art and oral narratives. San rock art is very popular. I think it's one of the oldest.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest forms of creative expressions in humanity.
Yeah,
that I think we found.
Yeah. So the mythologies include tales of a trickster deity named Kargan, who can transform into various animal forms and is involved in the creation and teaching of the people.
And Kang,
who
I think he's the creator.
Yeah, he is the reason why we can no longer speak to animals. There's a folklore story about that. Yeah. I'm hoping that's the right story. I think it is.
As well.
Yeah, it was the fire. Yeah, that's why we can't. Yeah. Sorry. So the Zulu are one of the largest groups in Southern Africa, and they have a pantheon of gods headed by Mvulungi, the supreme creator, and ancestors who play a significant role in daily life through ancestor worship. So their mythology includes tales of heroes, the importance of the king, and the origins of death. Inkanyamba is a serpent-like creature in Zulu mythology that is believed to reside in lakes and rivers, and he is one of the most notable beings in Zulu folklore. So if you've heard of him, let us know.
Another snake, dragon type serpent creature.
Yeah.
To add to the roster.
Yeah.
Bida. And there's another one that I forgot now. So similar to the Zulu, the Xhosa people have a rich oral traditions that includes stories of ancestral spirits, ancestral worship, and the consultation of the diviners, sangomas, to communicate with ancestors are central to the Xhosa spirituality. The Xhosa narrative of creation and tales of mystical heroes and beings form an integral part of their cultural heritage. So sangomas were mentioned in the context of encounters with mythical creatures like the Tokoloshi, which we've spoken about before, which is a malevolent being in Southern Africa folklore. Fear for its supposed ability to sort of cause harm to individuals at the behest of others. So in Xhosa and broader Southern African mythology, sangomas are often sought after to protect against or ward off or provide remedies for issues attributed with the Tokoloshi. Utilizing a deep understanding of traditional medicine, rituals, and the spiritual realm. So sangomas play a crucial role in addressing the physical and spiritual well-being of their communities, including protection against such supernatural threats.
Yeah.
So the Shona people of Zimbabwe have a rich tradition of spiritual beliefs that include the veneration of Mwari, the supreme god, and ancestral spirits known as Vadzimu. So these spirits are believed to influence the living, requiring rituals and offerings to maintain harmony. The Shona also have stories of mythical creatures and heroes that embody the values and the ethics of their societies, like most cultures have. And that's all we have on Southern Africa. Yeah. And some of you are thinking that there's some things that didn't make the cut. Well, there's literally so many other episodes that we have.
Yeah, don't worry, it's not on purpose. You just gotta stay tuned. So now we're moving on to a region where we're both from. Arguably the region with the most widely known African countries, maybe. I feel like I can name more in this region, clearly. We're in West Africa. So these pantheons in West Africa are not monolithic, but they're as varied as the languages and people and cultures of West Africa itself, including, but not limited to, Yoruba, Igbo, Akan, Fon cultures. So let's start with Yoruba. The Yoruba mythology, originating from present-day Nigeria and Benin, is one of the most documented and influential in West Africa. It centers around a pantheon of orishas that govern various aspects of the world and human life. The supreme orisha, Olodumare or Olorun, is the source of all life, while other orishas play crucial roles in the daily lives and spiritual practices of Yoruba people. Solomon, name one orisha.
I'm going to do the same one I named before. I'll say Ogun again.
Yeah, different.
I will name Oshumare.
Oh.
Oshumare, which is the god of the rainbow.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that one. Mm-hmm. Okay. So moving on swiftly to Igbo mythology, also from Nigeria, presents a cosmology where the world is divided into 4 quadrants, a reflection of the Igbo's traditional 4 market days. So these 4 market days are among the most powerful religious and social elements in Igbo tradition, history, and culture. So it's like this cool concept of like the days where they like practice their religion. We'll go into that more, but it's really, really cool.
Being Nigerian, I've never heard of it.
Wow. I guess you're Yoruba, not Igbo.
I know, but still.
So the Kan people of Ghana weave a cosmology around Nyame, the sky deity, and Asasaya, the earth goddess, highlighting a duality of celestial and terrestrial powers. Of course, many of us know Anansi. Anansi is a significant figure in the Kan folklore. He is the spider, symbolizing wisdom and the complexities of human nature through his trickster tales. He's also the keeper of all stories.
He is such an interesting character.
I think he is probably one of the most well-known African folklore characters.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
Being someone that sort of guards stories, it sort of makes sense that his stories are shared.
Yeah.
So in Fon mythology of Benin, Voodoo or voodoo is prominent, with a complex hierarchy of spirits or deities known as voodons, presiding over various elements and aspects of life. The Mosi people of Burkina Faso have a mythology that's centered around the creation of their kingdom and the divine origins of their ruling dynasties. Ancestral worship and the veneration of nature spirits play significant roles in their spiritual practices, reflecting a cosmology that integrates their ancestors with forces of nature. We've said ancestors so many times because I think that the veneration of ancestors is such an important part of so many different African cultures.
Yes, I think ancestors and nature are the two most important things that keep coming up.
Yes. In Mali, the Dogon people possess an intricate cosmology, with Ama as their supreme creator.
Mm-hmm.
Their pantheon includes Nomo, which are ancestral spirits who descended from the sky, embodying both the creative and destructive powers of water.
Mm.
Now, so for some of you that have read My Hero Academia or watched My Hero Academia, which is an anime, could this be what the Nomo originated from? So there's these creatures called Nomo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Are they like ancestors?
No, they're just these creatures that fall from the sky every now and then, or are created with powers and stuff like that.
Fair.
But I don't know. It's just that's the only other time I've heard the name.
Okay.
So
yeah. Cool.
Probably not, but it's fun to think of anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So the preservation and study of West African mythologies are the reason why the pantheons in this region are so widely known. As well as this, these pantheons have travelled far due to the transatlantic slave trade. When natives were taken from West Africa and brought to the Americas as slaves, they brought their myths and religious practices with them. And over time, these African spiritual beliefs mixed with the religions already present, creating new blended faiths. So like Candomblé in Brazil, Santeria in Cuba, and voodoo in Haiti. So according to this book that I'm reading, I can't remember the name.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
Great.
But it's here. Yeah. It's about like Yoruba religion, and it's said that this was less enabled by the English Protestants, who, in quote, heavily domesticated and stamped out any African culture retained by their sort of slaves and their people. So that's why you have less sort of like religious blends with the people that went to like European or like the English Protestant like slave masters.
Right.
Whilst in other, so like in the Americas, they were able to keep some of their faith and blend it with whatever cultures they were with.
I see. That's why here in the UK we don't have like our own version, quote unquote, of Santeria or Candomblé.
Yeah. It's more like you would use the same word for God, for the Christian God, that you would have probably used for
an Orisha.
Yeah, an Orisha or God. Yeah. So this blending of traditions is it helped the West African mythologies to survive and adapt even far from their original homes. So the story from West Africans are still alive today, influencing culture and religions in many parts of the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
And last, but certainly not least, we're heading over to Central Africa. So Central Africa comprises of countries like Cameroon, the Central African Republic, Gabon, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, loads of countries. So it's home to clearly a myriad of ethnic groups and cultures, each contributing to the amazing myths that articulate the relationships between nature, spiritual world, and the world we're in. human world. So Central African pantheons are characterized by a complex hierarchy of deities, spirits, and ancestors, like pantheons throughout the whole continent, clearly. And they interact with the living in a reciprocal relationship of respect, worship, and communication. So these entities are believed to influence all aspects of life, from the fertility of the land to the well-being of communities to the enactment of justice and guidance of individuals. So it's kind of like, dun dun dun. I don't know what that meant.
If it made sense to you.
So notably, the Bantu people, with their widespread influence across Central Africa, share this framework that includes a supreme creator. So they've got a supreme creator god, then lesser deities, associated with natural phenomena than ancestral spirits. Yeah. So these reflect the profound connection to nature and the ancestral past. So through oral tradition, these myths have been preserved and passed down through generations, constituting a vital link to the heritage and identity of Central African societies. Yep, you got that?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the Fang people. So they're spread across Gabon, Cameroon, and Equatorial Guinea. So they have a rich spiritual tradition that includes the belief of this supreme god called Mbere. I think I'm saying that right. Mbere.
Mm-hmm.
And various lesser deities and spirits. So ancestral worship is significant here, with ancestors acting as mediators between the living and the divine. So that's how you get through to like God. Kind of like, how Eshu is like the mediator. Yeah. So in this case, it's ancestors.
Right.
The Fang also believe in witchcraft and the power of sorcerers to influence the physical and spiritual world, a theme common in many of their myths and stories, which we will delve into in another episode. Yeah.
Yes. And the Congo people, located in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola, have a cosmology centered around a supreme deity, Zambi Mpongu, and the concept of a vital force or energy that animates all living things, Kulunga. Their mythological stories often explore themes of morality, the origins of death, and the afterlife, with a strong emphasis on the ethical living and maintenance of social harmony. The Chukwe, hailing from Angola, Zambia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, have a pantheon of gods and spirits, which with a particular reverence for ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Their mythology includes the creation story of the world by a supreme being, Kalunga, and the adventures of mystical heroes and ancestral figures who teach important cultural values and practices.
Is this the same Kalunga as the Kalunga line?
Well, sort of. I think because they're of the same region,
yeah,
sort of use the same words to explain different phenomena. So the shared name Kalunga in both the Congo and Chukwe traditions highlights a common linguistic and cultural heritage, suggesting a shared conceptual understanding of the world beyond the physical. However, the differences in interpretation, Kalunga as the spiritual realm and boundary in the Congo beliefs versus Kalunga as a supreme deity in the Chukwe mythology, reflects the diversity of thoughts and spirituality in sort of the Central African cultures.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh my gosh, and we're finished.
We're done.
We made it to the end.
We're done, but we're not done because obviously there's so much more we can say. But this is us done for now.
Yeah. And you were here with us at the end.
Yes, you made it.
Yeah, I feel like singing that song from The Big Blue House.
Goodbye, goodbye,
that's
good friends, goodbye.
Until another day. That's all.
Okay, well that's okay. You'll see very soon, I know. Very soon, I know. He clearly does not know the lyrics. Oh my god. You see,
I was just gonna overlay the song, but copyright reasons. Anyway.
Yeah, so you have our beautiful voices instead.
Yeah, so this was a much longer episode.
Yeah.
But it had to get as much value into it as possible. We definitely learned something new here.
Yeah, we did. And there's definitely more to explore and more to, learn and be excited about. And more to paint.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now we'll just iterate that this was just an overview and that there are many more mythologies, traditions, and pantheons that exist in each empire, tribe, and subculture.
Yeah, which brings us back to the point that Africa is not just a monolith, and the stories that are out there extend more than just West Africa, despite what you might see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's over to you to tell us more of what you know, or maybe what you're more interested in, so we can sort of like dive deeper into some of them as well.
Like if you had us mention something and you were like, oh, I'd like to hear more about that. Maybe it's the Igbo Full Market Days, or anything else. I was gonna like. I thought you were
asking them. Don't ask me. Don't look at me. Look at them. Look at them. Ask them.
But if there's anything you want us to talk about, our DMs are always open. Our comment section is always open on all our platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know.
And that is all.
That's all. Thank you
for joining us.
And we hope you enjoyed this crash course. Yes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment.
I was going to let you on today because I think I was like heavy on it last time.
Every day.
But you know, if it's every day, it's every day.
We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So please, that is our goal. And we'd like to see that happen.
Yes, 1,000 people on YouTube here on this journey with us.
Yeah, and we'd like at least...
I think
it's possible. And we'd like at least a couple comments on the video, just so we know that you are enjoying it.
Comment.
Yeah, if it's just anything random, like...
I don't know, say hi.
Yeah.
I'll say hi back.
Yeah. But thank you.
That's how it starts. That's friendship. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we'll be back next week.
We've been your hosts, Solomon and Adra.
Adra and Solomon. Whichever you want to say it.
Whichever you want.
Adechi. Thank you.
That's the one.
Bye.